This is the applet that we are going to create today. There are two assignments in this program. One is there would be a text box, and inside the text box we would be typing alphabets and digits. In the assignment 1, the second text box would give the ASCII values of the alphabets only. It will not give the ASCII values of the digits. So what is the main purpose of this first assignment? The main purpose of this first assignment is where we can find out whether the uh, value entered in the text box is a alphabet or whether it is a digit. So that is what we have to separate out. And if it is an alphabet, then only the ASCII value will be displayed in the second text box. In the second assignment, we are supposed to create two text boxes where one of the text box would give the count of the alphabets and the second text box would give the count of the digits. So that can be done easily using the extension of the first assignment. But there is a third part where as the backspace is pressed and the digits and the alphabets are erased, then the count would also decrease. So let us see how we can code such a applet. Now this is the code window. We have to import java.applet because we are going to create an applet. We are importing java.awt because we would be using text fields, and text fields are from AWT component. And we are going to import java.awt.event because over here event handling will be involved. Now, as far as the question is concerned, in the question the work will be done as we are entering the values in the text box. Now, when we are entering the values in the text box, we enter the value using the keyboard. We enter values in the text box using the keyboard. So, the code or the event will be generated when we are typing on the keyboard. And as we have discussed, whenever we are typing something on the keyboard, that event is interpreted by the key listener. That is interpreted by the key listener given to us by Java. So over here, we are going to implement key listener. So this is an example. This is a first example that I am giving you where we are implementing a key listener, right? Now, as given in the uh, question, we have to have text boxes in our applet. Now, in Java, text box on the applet is generated using a component called text field. So we are going to, for the first assignment, we need two text fields. Text field, let's say T, and text field T1. Right? Now, let me put a level because the level is going to give me, it will be easier for us to interpret which text box is giving me what output. So let's take a level L1. Right? Now, as we have done in previous applet examples, we have the components are created, the objects of the components are created in the init function. So we are going to code the init function of the applet. And again, I will tell you that init function is the first function that is executed when the applet runs. Now T is equals to new text field, right? And T1 is equals to new text field, and L1 is equals to new level. And what is going to be written as the level? We will write ASCII of the alphabet entered. Correct? Now, this is where we have created the components. What is the next step? The next step is to register the component with the listener. Now, where are we going to type? We are going to type, or we are going to put the values in the text field T, and the output is going to come to the text field T1. So on the event or on the values we type in the text field T, the output will be generated in T1. So the event will be fired when we are typing something in the text field T. So therefore, the event or the listener has to be registered with the T text field. So we register the event with the text field T. Now the component has been generated and the listener has been registered. And what is the next work? The next work is to add these components in the applet. And how do we do that? By using the add function. Right? So that is, the applet has been created. Now, after the listener has been registered, now we have to create or implement the functions that the listener gives us. Key listener gives us three functions. One is key pressed, key typed, and key released. There are three functions that comes with the interface key listener. So key pressed, key typed, and key released. So as we know that all the functions of a interface has to be implemented. So we have written down all the three functions and we have given open and curly braces with each of the functions. But we are going to generate body of that function which we need. So over here for this program, I am going to create the key pressed function. I'm going to write down the body for the key pressed function. Now let us go back to the question. The question says in the assignment 1 that the second text box is supposed to display the ASCII value of the alphabet entered. So therefore, the first job is to find out that when the key has been pressed, the key is an alphabet or not. We have to find out whether the key pressed is an alphabet or not. And if it is an alphabet, then we have to generate the ASCII value. So first let us read the value that the user has typed in. So whenever user types something through the keyboard, the user is typing one single character at a time. At a time, user clicks one character on the keyboard. So we can write char C is equals to E dot get key char. You see, this is the function using which you can get key char is the function using which you can get the key that user has typed in the keyboard. And what is E? E is the object that the key event has been, this E is the reference of the key event. Key event is the parameter that we will pass in all the functions defined for the key listener. And this E stores all the related values that we need when the key is pressed. So over here, to get which key has been pressed by the user, we would be using get key char function. So get key char function gives us the key that has been pressed by the user. Now we have to check whether this particular character is alphabet or not. So how can we do that? If you can use any of your method. The method that I have used goes like this. If character Now using this method, I have found out I have changed the character C into lowercase, and I have checked whether this character is greater than equal to A and whether it is less than equal to Z. You see, char can be checked in this manner because char and int, they can be whenever you use character, Java always interprets character using Unicode. So therefore this greater than equal to A and less than equal to Z, this is absolutely allowed in Java. So if that is the case, if it is within the range of A to Z, we are to print the ASCII value. And how do we print the ASCII value? This I had discussed before also. To convert it to ASCII value, int C, this gives us the ASCII value of C. When you are writing int C, this gives us the ASCII value of C. But now if I have to write this ASCII value in the text box T1, I have to write T1 dot set text. Please understand, to put the value inside the text box 1, I have to use the function dot set text. I have to use the function set text to set the text value inside the text field. And what is the value I am trying to put? I am trying to put the value that is int C, that means ASCII value of C. Now let us see the error given over here. The error over here shows the method set text in the type text field is not applicable for the arguments int. That means you cannot write integer type or integer value in the text field. The value you are writing in the text field always has to be string in nature. But ASCII value is integer. So I am getting an integer value which I am trying to put in the text field. But text field will not allow me to put the integer value because the value always has to be string. So what do we have over here? Over here, for our rescue, wrapper class will come into the picture. What will we do? We will write, obviously we know that using wrapper class we can convert an integer to its string format, correct? So we will write integer dot toString, and then we will pass this int c as the parameter. So this int c, that means ASCII value of the character thus generated, will get converted to a string value, and that string value can easily be written in the text field. So did we understand this? Why we had to change the type of the value to string? Because text field only allows us to write down string values in it, but int c, that is ASCII value of the character thus produced is an integer value, it is not a string value. So to convert it to a string value, we use the wrapper class of integer, wrapper class of int, that is integer, and we have used the function toString. So you see the error is gone, correct? So using that, we can put the ASCII value of character C in the text field. So now let us run the code. As I run the code, you see the applet looks like this. This is the first text box that we created. This is the level that I wrote ASCII of the alphabet entered, and the ASCII will come over here. You see over here I am typing the value A, and 97 is coming in the second text field. When I write the value C, 99 is coming to in this text field. I can also give capital A. If I give capital A, then 65 is coming in the text field. Now you see this text field, the first text field over here is a bit small. It would have been easier for us if we could have made this text box a bit bigger. Not only this, if we could have made this text box also a bit better, it would have been easier for us. So let us do that. Let us increase the size of the text field first. Okay, so I will stop this applet. And how can we do that? Again, where we have we have created the text box, we will come over here. We have created the text field over here, and we will use a function called t.setColumn. So you see all these functions using which we can set the properties, we will be discussing those in the component classes. I'm just explaining you those functions which we need for this particular program over here, and rest of the functions and properties we will discuss when we are discussing the individual components. So t.setColumns to 20, so we increase the size of the text field 20, and over here let me increase the size of the text field t1 as well, and let us make it 5 maybe. Okay, so let's run this again. When we run this again, you see the length of the text fields have actually increased, and now when I write A, you see 97 coming over here. If I type capital A, 65 is coming over here. But when I type 1, 2, 3, that means the digits, then the ASCII value over here is not changing, because according to the question, we will need only ASCII values of the alphabets. We are not supposed to give the ASCII values of the numbers. So we are supposed to sieve out the alphabets from the values entered. So this is a learning how we can sieve out alphabets from our text field. So using this particular if condition, we are just sieving out the alphabets getting entered, and we are ignoring the digits that are getting entered, and we are displaying the ASCII value of the alphabets only. Clear? So that is about the first assignment. Now let us come to the second assignment. The second assignment, we have to have 2 more text boxes, and the text box would count the number of alphabets entered and number of digits entered separately into text boxes, right? So let us give 2 more text boxes in our applet. So for doing the second assignment, we have taken 2 more text fields and 2 more levels, one to count the number of alphabets, another one to count the number of digits, and all of them are added to the applet. Now, the applet says that the count of the number of alphabets and count of the number of digits would be based on whatever we are typing in the text field, the first text field. So therefore, we need key listener for that text field only, because whatever we type in that text field, based on that, the uh, alphabets and the digits will be counted. So we don't need to add any other listeners to any register any other listeners to any other text fields. Now, over here we have already generated the code where we have separated where we have separated out the alphabets, and we have given, or we have printed the ASCII value of the alphabets in the second text field. So same code we can be reused over here as we are getting the text, as we are getting the alphabets, we are converting into ASCII values, and at the same time only we can add or count the number of alphabets. So let us count the number of alphabets. How do we do that? We need a variable. Let us say CNT alpha. So this alpha is going to count the number of alphabets. So since we are taking the CNT alpha, we need to also initialize that. So let's initialize that within the class. Int CNT alpha is equals to 0. We would need a similar variable for counting the number of digits. So let's name it CNT digits and initialize it to 0. So if over here we are getting alphabets, then we are going to count the CNT alpha. Now as we count, after that we have to put it in text box, we have to put it in text field. So now what is the way to put it in the text field? As I have shown you in this previous statement, we have to write t2 dot set text, and we will put this in the text field, right, using text set text function. But again, CNT alpha is integer in nature, and you cannot put integer value in a text field. To put values in the text field, you have to convert it to string, correct? So let's convert it to string. What will we write? We will write integer dot to string, and then we are going to pass this CNT alpha. So CNT alpha gets converted to string, and then you can very well put it in the text box as a value, right? Correct. Now, next we are going to count the number of digits. So this is where we count the number of alphabets. Now for counting the number of digits. So how do we count the number of digits? We will put a else if, and we will put we are going to check whether the given character is integer or not. So how are we going to check whether the given character is integer or not? To do that, we are going to convert the given character into integer. Now, how do we convert a given character into integer? Again, we will use wrapper class integer dot parse int, and then within bracket you give the value c, and when you convert it to integer, it has to be greater than equal to 0, and it has to be less than equal to 9, right? Now look at the error we are getting. The error says that the method parseInt in the type integer is not applicable for the character argument. So over here, C has been declared as a character, but parseInt, this wrapper class method, is only applicable for strings. It is not applicable for character. So what are we going to do? So before we parse int this, we are going to convert this into string. And how do we do that? It is very easy. We know by now how to change it to a string. Character dot to string. So first we convert the character into string, and then again we parse int into an integer type to find out what is the actual value. So the same thing will go over here as well. Again, I will explain what I did. We have to find out whether this character is greater than equal to 0 and less than equal to 9 or not. So we have to parse int or convert this into integer. Now, when we are converting it into integer, we see that parseInt function only works with strings. ParseInt function does not work with characters. So as a result, we cannot use parseInt on a character. We have to convert the character into a string. So to do that, we are using character.toString function to convert the character to string. And after that, we are again doing parseInt to convert that string into an integer type. So if we find that integer is greater than equal to 0 and less than equal to 9, then we are going to count the number of digits. So how do we do that? We will use this particular statement that we have used for alphabets. Over here only we will change the variable cnt digits, and we will be placing it in the T3. We will be placing it in the T3. So we will be putting this in the T3 text field. Fine. So let us see whether it is working or not. Let's run this program. As we run this program, this is our applet. Now when I write A, obviously we have seen this particular text field where 97, that is the ASCII, is coming. That was part of assignment 1. Now you see number of alphabets is coming as 1 because I have typed in an alphabet. Let me type in another alphabet. Over here you see number of alphabets becomes 2. Now when I write 1 2, you see the number of digits over here becomes 2. So as we are typing in, the number of alphabets is increasing and number of digits and alphabet is changing. Now suppose I type a W, you see number of alphabets becomes 3, and when I type in a 4, number of digits becomes 3. So as we are typing in, the key listener is getting a key listener is interpreting my key press, and as a result my values and the text fields are changing using the function that we just wrote. So that was assignment 2, part of assignment 2. Now come to the second part of assignment 2. In the second part of assignment 2, as we press backspace over here, backspace, then the number of digits and number of alphabets has to get reduced. As we press backspace over here, the number of alphabets and the digits has to get reduced. Clear? So how do we do that? So let's come back to so this is the code for the third part of the program. The code is more or less similar with some changes. Over here, you see we have checked whether it is A to Z or not. If it is A to Z, we had increased the count of CNT alpha. And similarly, in this part, we are checking whether it is using the same feature. We are checking whether it is A to Z. If it is A to Z, we are decreasing the value of the CNT alpha. Similarly, over here, we are checking whether it is digit or not. If it is a digit, then we are decreasing the value of the CNT digit because the digit is getting erased. So in decreasing the alpha and decreasing the digit, that is happening in the same manner. We are checking whether it is alphabet, then we are decreasing the alphabet count. If it is a digit, we are decreasing the digit count. Now, what are the changes in the code? Let us see that. Let us come to the first line. Over here, this is the code using which I have checked whether the pressed key is a backspace or not. Let's analyze the statement. E.get key character code. When we are writing get key character code, this is the function in the event E, in the key event E, which is giving me the ASCII value of the backspace. And that can be checked using this statement. Now, key event is a class in Java that gives you all the key values. So with respect to each and every key on the keyboard, there is a value or the ASCII value that is stored. So when you are writing key event dot backspace, this is predefined. I am not defining this. This is predefined. So key event dot backspace, this particular value returns you the ASCII of the backspace key. It gives you the ASCII value of the backspace key. So again, key event is a class that is storing all the ASCII values of all the keys on the keyboard. And vk underscore back underscore space, this is a constant in the class that stores the ASCII value of the backspace. So whenever you are calling key event dot vk underscore space underscore back underscore space, it is giving you the ASCII value of backspace, and that you are checking with the ASCII value of the key that has been pressed. So if the key is equal to a backspace, then you enter the condition, and in that condition you get the text from your text box. Now you get the whole text from your text box and you check whether the last character, you see that is function of the string. We are checking over here whether the last character, look at this particular part. Over here we are checking whether the last character S is storing the whole text of the text box dot char at s dot length minus 1. That means we are checking whether the last character that is going to get erased using the backspace is alphabet or not. So we are checking for the last character. So how do we check for the last character? We are taking the whole text from the text box using get text method, and then using the char at function, we are checking whether the last character is an alphabet. So if the last character is an alphabet, we are decreasing the alphabet count because then the alphabet will get erased. If the last character, again the same thing, you see, s dot char at s dot length minus 1, that is the last character. We are checking whether the last character is a digit or not. If the last character is a digit, then we are decreasing the digit. We are decreasing the digit count. So now you have to take a very important you have to understand, or you have to very cautiously see how things are getting converted. We are using wrapper class to convert from one data type to another. Over here, s dot char s dot length minus 1 is giving me the last character. Thus, this the last character, we have to check whether it is greater than 0 and less than 9 or not. So we have to convert that into integer. So which method we will use to convert it into integer? We will use integer.parseInt. But integer.parseInt does not work on character. It only works on string. So as we have done in this part as well, first we have changed this last character to string using character.toString. We have converted the last character into string, and then we have converted the last character into integer using integer.parseInt. And then we have checked whether it is greater than equal to 0 and less than equal to 9. And if that is the case, we are decreasing the digits. Now the count of the digits. Clear? So the process is the same, only there are few changes where we are taking the last character, and using taking the last character, we are appropriately converting the last character either to the digit, or we are checking whether it is an alphabet or not by uh, whether it is an alphabet or not, and then we are decreasing the count. Now let us see how it is working. If I run the code, this is my alphabet. You see, I am typing, and as I type, the count of the alphabet and the digits are increasing. Now let me show you. I am pressing the backspace. First, the last character over here is 6, right? So as I press my backspace, the 6 will get deleted, and you should also notice this, the count. Count over here is 12. Now let me delete. As I put my backspace, the count of digit becomes 11. Again, the last character is a digit. When I press my backspace, the count of the digit becomes 10. So you see, but the count of alphabet is not changing, and obviously this the ASCII value will not change, because the ASCII value is giving you the ASCII value of the last alphabet that was pressed, and that is part of assignment 1, so we can just ignore that for the time being. So now as we go on pressing the backspace, you see the counts are decreasing, and as we reach the end of the text, it becomes 0. So it is actually working. So what was my aim for this assignment was, I wanted to show you how the key listener works, how the key press works, and how when the key is pressed, how you can differentiate between whether it was an alphabet, or it was a digit, or it is any special character. I will show you something. Over here I have checked for backspace. I will just show you. This is key event is a class, and when I press a dot, you see there are all the keys over here in the class. All the keys has been defined in this class, and all these values are constants. You see, all these values are final values. So all the values on the keyboard have their constant values, and using that you can check which you can check the ASCII values of all the keys, and you can just compare them with the keys you have got. So everything starts with VK underscore back underscore space. So that is uh, what I have used in this program, right? So similar other event listeners we will do in other assignments.